All right, well, howdy, folks. For this week's episode of Pasture Talk, I am standing in our farm store here where we sell all of our beef out of. This is our little retail shop here, right along 117 in Eureka, our hometown where Abby and I both grew up, and so super exciting for us to have a little retail shop here. We've had this store open for the last, it's been about a year and a half probably since we've had it up here at this location. So. Um, Real excited to have our own little store, place to kind of call our headquarters where we sell all the beef out of, where we ship out of, and all that good stuff. So today, what I want to talk about, my original intent was to talk about why we feel like it's better to shop direct or shop local. So I might get into that a little bit, but I also wanted to touch on kind of make this a little bit of part two of what is Wagyu. There's a big part of Wagyu that I feel like I kind of left out in last week's episode, and I would like to touch on that a little bit. So, really, what that is a lot of people today. There's a big push for grass-fed beef. A lot of people, it's really gained a lot of traction. A lot of people are demanding that, and asking for that product, and there is. I would say there's a lot of hype around grass-fed beef. There's a lot of maybe some folks that don't fully understand it. They think it sounds better, right? That's what they hear, and so to them it sounds like it must be better. So I want to kind of explain that a little bit, but then I really want to explain why we feel like our product is unique and really has a place in the market, really ahead of grass-fed beef. So. Grass-fed beef simply means that a beef animal never receives any grain. So they spend their entire life eating nothing but grass or other forages. So cattle naturally grow on grass, obviously, right? It's the way that God created them. Their rumen allows them to digest the fibers and break down the cell wall of plants and be able to receive nutrition from that and turn that into protein and muscle. And so cattle can naturally digest grass, right? Cattle can also naturally digest a lot of other things, right? And one of those things is grain. Along with a steady diet of forage, cattle can digest grain, and they can take that grain and turn it into fat, which really gives beef its flavor and its tenderness. So grass-fed beef has some things going for it. It's very lean, right? So for those who are more conscientious about their health and are trying to limit the amount of fat content that they're eating, grass-fed beef is a really good option for that. It's also high in omega-3s and is healthy in that way. A lot of times there's a perceived value of it, though, in that it just sounds better, right? People just think, oh, well, cows naturally eat grass, so it must mean that it's better or healthier for me. And that I'd like to push back on a little bit and say I'm not totally sure that that's always 100% accurate. It's not that it's not healthy eating on grass, but it doesn't necessarily make cattle that are raised on grain unhealthy, right? So really, I want to talk about why we feel like Wagyu is so unique and what we feel like it brings to the table. So I wanted to show a couple of steaks here. So this is our Wagyu ribeye. So this cut of beef right here is kind of the king of all steaks, right? And I'll hold that up there where you can see it real close. So you can see all that intermuscular fat, all of the little white specks of fat that are woven through the muscle. This is a New York strip steak. Real similar, right? We have a lot of intermuscular fat or marbling, which we talked about last week. So what's really cool about Wagyu is that God has created these animals in such a way that the fat that they create as they grow on corn, they just naturally marble better than any other beef breed. But the fat that they create is higher, has a higher ratio of monounsaturated fats to saturated fats. Now that makes me sound really smart, and I'm really not. To dumb it down for people more like me, really that just means that it has more of the good fat than the bad fat, meaning that our bodies can naturally digest that fat better than the fat that's found in grass-fed beef or in other breeds of grain-fed beef. Okay, so there's actually been studies that have shown that folks that eat a steady diet of very obviously high fat content Wagyu beef, as compared to other grain fed or grass fed beef. Actually, we see their cholesterol come down, and that's actually our body's able to digest it better, and so there's no negative effects of that fat that's that is in Wagyu beef. So that is a really big why behind why we're really passionate about Wagyu beef, is because we can now provide a steak, an eating experience, a beef eating experience, that is what everybody wants in their beef eating experience. It's that melt in your mouth, just fall apart tender, um, very strong beefy flavor. We can provide that, and we can do it without all the negative health effects that folks think that there are, right? So we feel that Wagyu beef really competes with grass-fed beef in that way, and so that's a really unique and cool thing about Wagyu beef that we really need to talk about more, and we want to educate more on. So that's kind of why I felt like I wanted to talk about that a little bit today.